It's all about the people. You hear it forever, but it really is about the people. It's about building a good team with good thought leaders and people that are on the same mission, same vision that you have, of course.
I personally think we need more I than we need more AI in the industry. Artificial intelligence is designed to help, but what we really need is more intelligence.
I mean, I know in Silicon Valley there's talk about who's going to be the first guy to build the one-person unicorn. But I sure think it's possible for someone to build a really valuable logistics company with a much smaller number of people by virtue of AI. I've founded 5 companies in the supply chain world over the last 26 years. Starting with a company called Threeplex, which was a SaaS transportation management systems company, now a small part of IBM. A company called EcoSquid, which was an e-commerce marketplace for returns. Most recently, Green Screens, which was AI-powered predictive pricing in trucking, which we just sold to Triumph a few months ago. And then our investment bank, BGSA, which has done over 50 mergers and acquisitions in the logistics and supply chain world. And finally, Cambridge Capital, which is our private equity firm that's been investing for 16 years in great companies in the supply chain arena. So in short, I'm a supply chain guy. The original idea was, I saw what Allen & Company did to build an outstanding combination of investment banking, private equity, and a conference that brought together the best and brightest in TMT, tech, media, and telecom. And I thought, wouldn't it be great if we could do that in our industry, in supply chain? And while there were firms that did some transactions or made some investments, and there were some conferences, but there was really nobody that took that holistic view of bringing together the top CEOs, doing the most interesting, valuable, and compelling things in supply chain, and creating a community around that. And so that was really the idea, and that means tremendous relationships, personal and professional, not just for me, but really for hundreds of people that have been coming to this conference. That in turn translates into insights and learnings and opportunities. And in the end, the business side, meaning investments and mergers and acquisitions, that's there too, but that follows. It's the outgrowth of the community and the insights and the opportunities.
Ben has always done a great job of assembling the right folks in the room. I mean, he really understands the market, understands the space, has had a run rate of success in this business, in what he does in the business. I think it's the one spot where you have sort of the cross-section of the logistics world coming together with also the technology. When you think about contract logistics, you think about freight forwarding, trucking, technology, it's all here. Right, so I think he does a great job of bringing together all of these shareholders and stakeholders, these different types of parts of the supply chain.
This is the do not miss conference for a number of reasons. Number one, the attendee list here and the opportunities for networking is above and beyond anything else that I get to participate in throughout the year. That in and of itself is worth the trip, but when you layer on then the folks that are here sharing content, being on the stage, I find the sessions that we participate in to be very unfiltered, great candid feedback from leaders across the supply chain industry.
And this idea of being flexible in the supply chain is great, but it's all screwed up because everything might be just temporary.
I found out about it by hearing about Ben. When we started looking at the port that we are running our vehicles in, and I thought, logistics, maybe I should learn something about logistics. I talked to someone who knew Ben, and he said, well, I think the best person in the United States is this guy named Ben, and he runs a conference once a year. Why don't you see if he'll let you in and you can go?
Yeah, I don't attend a lot of conferences, but to be able to be with my peers and also all the tech companies. I'm spending a lot of time on tech personally, really just networking from a supplier side as well as just peers and see what I can learn on everyone's perspective from the different segments of the market. And it's a first-class event.
Part of what's special about this, besides the fact that if you were facing the other way, you'd get to see the ocean, and here we are in Palm Beach in January, and this is a place where things happen. The Shark Tank is a place where startups get the opportunity to tell their story, and many of those startups have gone on to do great things, and so much talent and brainpower in the room. Great opportunity to listen and learn, and I know that's something that I really look forward to. Well, now we're entering the fourth wave, and what is that fourth wave? You could argue there are lots of possible answers. The democratization of data, the fact that small companies have access to a lot of the same amazing technology that big companies have. You could argue that it's about automation and robotics and man plus machine in warehouses. You could argue a lot of things, but in the end, I think it's AI. And if you think about what happened back in November of 22 when ChatGPT came out, and many of us wanted to go see, well, what does this actually mean? But many of us are now actually using it in business in ways that are powerful and deeply disruptive.
When I reflect on 2025, I think about a couple things. The first thing that jumps off the page is April announcement on the tariffs. Just the anticipation of that coming created a real change in the way the product was flowing around the world. A lot of companies looking to accelerate the pace of product being brought into the US, for example, to try and get product in before the tariffs were implemented. That created a lot of stress on warehouse infrastructure in the beginning of the year. That really normalized in the second half of the year. I think one of the constraints and frustrations in the industry is that current volume with customers has remained relatively flat or declining in some cases, depending on the industry vertical. So any growth that we've been able to achieve is really about convincing customers that outsourcing is a better proposition than operating for themselves. I think the value proposition for contract logistics is strong. As the economies become more healthy around the world, we should see existing volume come back as well, which really provides sort of a double effect of growth that we see in the industry when we look out 27, 28, 29 going forward. So it is an exciting space to be in. Lots of challenges to navigate, but it's exciting to be part of an organization that's ready to do that.
When I look at supply chains in general, this challenge in terms of just economic uncertainty really makes it difficult to make decisions in terms of just whatever industry we're referring to. And so I think we've seen some of that in 2025 because of tariffs, because of challenges internationally. Commodity prices have gone up for the last several years. Yeah. So I think all of that has introduced a lot of uncertainty in the marketplace. And so we've seen this general sentiment that's sort of neutral or negative that I think is impacting decisions in industries and in businesses.
We have an obligation as leaders in the supply chain to educate society on what's going on with tariffs.
The real issue is the uncertainty of what these tariffs are.
When you can't plan because of uncertainty, as a result, you have volatility. And as a supply chain company and a service provider, that results in us having to be very agile. Right. Market goes up, market goes down. I think in supply chain these days, you really have to be agile and be able to turn it on and turn it off just in terms of moving product around, because you never know what's around the corner.
Well, you know what's going to come right out of the box is tariffs, right? Mm-hmm. And for our business, it's very impactful. There's one specific part of our organization where we receive a lot of supply from China, right? And so when you're talking about supply from China and you're putting that all together, tariffs and all of the noise around tariffs, it hit on two fronts. First, from a cost perspective, right, of getting that product here, but also we had to up our level of knowledge about tariffs, right, about how do you do international trade and how do you move product across the world at a minimum cost.
We didn't go to China, and it didn't happen in 2 years, 3 years. This was a 20-year shift that took place. So we're going to get a shift back here. It's not going to happen overnight.
Going through tariffs allowed us to be now prepared for anything that comes forward. As we move forward, We're ready for those challenges. We've set up now a system where we can, I would say, operate outside of all the impact of that. And now we're looking for growth through innovation.
16 years ago this week, a guy came to our conference, sat in the back, thick glasses, scribbling lots of notes. Who is this guy? He comes up to me and he says, "You don't know me, but I've built 4 companies from nothing to over $1 billion. My next one's going to be in logistics. Everybody says I've got to come to the BGSA conference and meet Ben, so here I am. What do I need to know?" We had a great conversation, and of course, that led to his decision to focus on consolidation and truck brokerage. That led to his acquisition of a small public company called Express One that would later be rebranded as XPO, and that leader, of course, was the legendary Brad Jacobs.
It's expertise, it's knowledge, it's contacts, it's connections, it's value added. And I think Ben provides all those. I guess the main benefit for the conference is networking, is meeting other people who are CEOs mostly and chief supply chain officers. Met some customers, met some investors, made contacts within the industry. I find that of all the different traits, the one trait that tracks most closely, correlates most closely to success is intelligence. So I like to surround myself with people who are smarter than me. So that's what I do. I'm on the senior level of the company. I have a few dozen executives. Pretty much all of them have higher IQs than I do. And that's what I want.
In your book, How to Make a Few $1 billion, one of the things that you talked about was how you used technology. And I know that's an important part of your strategy today. Can you talk about how you think about AI and other technologies?
I think it's the biggest thing in the entire world, period. I think, so in my recent book, the sequel, I end the book talking about the last 2.6 million years of history of humans and proto-humans. And I itemized the 107 most consequential tools, technology, that we humans have invented, starting with stone tools to the Gutenberg printing press, to the gin, everything over the years, leading up to now, where you got the internet, you got AI, you got robotics, and wow, this is like huge. We might have outdone ourselves, guys, because we've outsourced. We're in the process of outsourcing us to the technology that we've created. Alternatively, the AI itself might decide, these humans are really weird and irrational and self-defeating and get in the way of the mission, and they might deprogram us. They could kill us. But I think equally possible is really utopia, where we use the AI, we put guardrails around it, we use it for positive means. The supply chain of the world's resources, which are in huge abundance, they're just not mined and distributed. We're just kind of screwed up on that. We're not very efficient at doing that. With the AI and humanoid robotics, we could do that.
Well, think of what has been the most amazing computer development in the last 25 years. Was it the NoSQL database? Was it the JSON data stream that got you away from Kleinschmidt EDIs? What is the most amazing technology that has been developed? AI is the most amazing technology that has been developed recently, in the last 25 years. Our question is still, how are we going to use it? And how is it going to be effective in what we do?
If you look at kind of size of impact of using AI and the easiness of implementation, some of the decent impact, fairly straightforward implementation, we're obviously living. So when we do legal contracts, a lot of that is made much more higher quality and more efficient by using AI. RFP responses to prospects, very much AI driven. And then we're running and jogging in those spaces. We're probably still crawling and walking in some other spaces.
What I've realized, though, as me helping others in the supply chain industry or even being an executive coach, is if you don't take advantage of just the simple things such as Copilot, Chat, GDP, et cetera, those things actually are tools that actually make you better. I mean, it is really a useful tool to be able to help you get educated on certain scenarios and make better business decisions. And what you're going to see is you're going to see that go faster, faster, and faster. But the speed that this will help generate people, and even though you hear these things like, well, people aren't going to be as smart because they're using AI, that's wrong. Actually, they're going to be smarter because they're taking the time and they're learning, and it's giving them even more information where they can even learn any more.
I do think AI changes things. I also think it's already been commoditized, and it's happened incredibly fast, and it has become certain level of AI engagement is table stakes for you to be efficient. So I think long term, I'm bullish on what it's going to do. Short term, I'm skeptical on a lot of the things I'm seeing and hearing here. I think as advanced as it may be, there will be a crawl, walk, run aspect to the application of this in business. And ultimately, change management is hard. We can write technology that does really cool things, but getting people to change operational processes is much harder.
You're going to see companies using AI to take out process steps and to take out cost, and ultimately to be able to do more quickly and more efficiently. So I think that's one. I think two is you're going to see people use AI to make better pricing decisions. That's part of what green screens did. It was taking large volumes of data, sifting through it, and being able to do predictive pricing and predictive analytics as a result. Third is you're going to see people using AI to be able to automate end-to-end workflow.
One of the things that technology enables is and AI and all of those things, is a much better ability to forecast and plan your production capacities and deal with disruptions on a more planned basis.
People that may be able to use AI, whether it's to do a better job of prospecting for customers or to be able to find ways to price more opportunistically. I mean, if you think about it, this is maybe a sensitive subject in some areas, but the way Uber does surge pricing, well, guess what? Why can't logistics companies do that as well? Why can't they be smarter about pricing higher where the market will bear it? AI will allow that. So look, I think there are a whole host of things ranging from obvious cost controls and time reductions to true end-to-end workflow automation to pricing improvements to other revenue opportunities. And I think we're going to see all of that this year.
And I have to say, this has just been an outstanding conference. And I'm not just saying that because, we're here together at the conference, but just everything about this. I mean, the quality of the attendees is off the charts. Content is fabulous. I mean, the panels have been first rate. And so, just the opportunity to network, talk, brainstorm, and also hear and get people's perspective. I mean, I very much believe the importance of building culture. And I think culture ultimately triumphs a lot. Now, you can't ignore, the world that we're rapidly going through with AI and things like that. But I like to lead with people and culture, how we're taking care of customers, how we're taking care of our freight inspectors and our corporate team. And that's my kind of North Star.
I think technology is always going to be important. I've been doing this a long time, and I'm told every 2 or 3 years what's going to put me out of business next, and nothing's put me out of business. I've been coming for a long, long time and met a lot of great people here. You've got some amazing leaders here. I think more than people really understand. I mean, you've got leaders of multi-billion-dollar organizations here all the time, and we've built great relationships amongst each other. We have confidence in each other, we trust each other, we can talk openly about ideas, and I want to learn from them. And it's very diversified, the group you have here. You've got international freight forwarders, you got domestic transportation companies, national warehousing companies, and now you're bringing in the new generation of tech-based companies, whether it's AI, whatever it may be. So you're getting a really interesting blend of people here now.
I think about all of these people and think that this conference has been able to be a force multiplier for me, for BGSA, and for Cambridge Capital, our firms, but also for the hundreds, well, actually really thousands of CEOs who've been coming here for 20 years, and that's special.